China is one of the oldest existing historical states that boasts a unique and intricate language, culture, and mentality. Its culture can appear even more exotic and incomprehensible when observed from a distance, as if it were a culture from a distant celestial body. China is one of the oldest states with a rich historical background, distinctive language, and culture. Many myths have emerged over time about this country, but when discussing history, it's crucial to avoid disseminating myths that lack factual basis and are built on misconceptions. The complexity of Chinese history is rooted in the challenge of distinguishing between fact and fiction for the general public. Nevertheless, we aim to guide you on a journey through the myths. China is often considered to be the oldest nation on Earth, but in reality, this title cannot be attributed solely to China. Although China has preserved its culture with minimal variation for centuries, India, the Middle East, and Europe are considered older than China. Furthermore, Egypt and Sumer have already claimed the title of the oldest nations in history, with Emily having actively developed a full-fledged script 5,000 years ago. Furthermore, Egypt and Sumer have already claimed the title of the oldest nations in history, with Emily having actively developed a full-fledged script 5,000 years ago. This is nearly 2,000 years younger than ancient Egypt during the same time period. According to dynastic legend, the Shang dynasty emerged at the beginning of the 3rd millennium, following the Jia dynasty. While there is no definitive proof of a sophisticated civilization or contemporary records, this pertains only to the Jia dynasty. Shang civilization in China undoubtedly thrived, but historians lack the means to confidently identify it as a state. The Shan archaeological culture is linked to the Jia dynasty, although historians hold divergent views on this matter. Outside of China, the Shang dynasty of the 11th century BC allegedly had many cultural achievements associated with Zhou. One hypothesis is that the mention of Zhou aimed to substantiate the antiquity of the mandate and its connection to the legendary Jia. The Shang dynasty is also known for its historical records, which allow us to trace subsequent history. Further details can be found in the accompanying video. And the fact that the oldest precisely existed Chinese dynasty takes its origin from the 16th century BC, we realize China is hardly but very ancient already. Considering that the oldest precisely established Chinese dynasty dates back to the 16th century BC, it is evident that China is an ancient civilization. The next fallacy suggests that China lacks competence in warfare. Over the past 200 years, China has struggled in international conflicts. The Opium War, European powers' division of China, and war with Japan have led many to believe China is large but defenseless. However, we assure you this is not true. While the 19th and first half of the 20th centuries were difficult, they represent only a small period in China's lengthy history. An empire incapable of defending itself could not have endured for so long. This topic has been thoroughly debunked in our video. To summarize, there is no evidence of any survival problem in ancient or medieval China. China had a strong and stable civilization for thousands of years prior to any outside influences, including the Mongols who came approximately 100 years ago. In contemporary history, following the rise of the Communist Party to power, China demonstrated substantial success in conflicts throughout the Korean Peninsula, Vietnam, Tibet, India, and other regions. Despite initial setbacks, China's triumphs in these regional conflicts were notable. There is no doubt that China's performance during its early defeats and subsequent triumphs in Korea, Vietnam, Tibet, India, and many other regional conflicts was outstanding. As a final point, Sun Tzu's art of war is a fundamental part of modern military tactical training programs. Regarding Confucianism, while many view it as an official religion in pre-socialist China, it was a philosophy developed by Confucius in the middle of the 1st millennium BC, and referred to as Chinese religion. The comparison can be likened to equating Socrates or Plato to the religious beliefs of ancient Greece or Rome. However, Confucianism was once a prevalent ideology taught in Chinese institutions until the 20th century. It has been popular for over 1,000 years and continues to be to this day, in both China and across the world. Despite this, Confucius himself is no longer included in China's mandatory education curriculum, and the philosopher was not previously considered as such. Thomas was a helpful teacher who aimed to assist those in need. and his students played a role in shaping his teachings. Confucianism is a nuanced and intricate ideology that can be summarized by maxims like perfect others, perfect yourself, and act rightly. Importantly, it is typically viewed as a philosophical doctrine rather than a religion. Confucius did not hold beliefs in gods or spirits, and Confucianism itself conflicts with traditional religious views. Alongside Buddhism, Confucianism and religion existed in China, where the latter is rooted in the traditional faith of ancestral spirits and the ideology of heavenly destiny. The term natural destiny refers to the predestined role of each member in society taught by Confucianism, which enforces a particular social hierarchy and discusses the concept of natural destiny. Let us examine a popular myth excluding China. According to the myth, the Chinese emperors asserted their ownership of all territories on earth and deemed China a major heavenly state. It resembles the concept of heavenly power previously discussed. This idea was likely created during the Zhou dynasty to legitimize the ruling dynasties. In summary, it served as justification for their power and authority. The authority of the earthly ruler stems from the divine power bestowed upon them by the heavenly Lyceum. The teachings of Confucius emphasize the importance of the respectful relationship between father and son, which is also applicable to the relationship between the people and their emperor. This principle is prevalent in most monarchies. The sources of the monarch's power were explained comprehensively. He discussed the transition of power from one dynasty to another. However, subjective evaluations were excluded. Additionally, he did not utilize his ruler's energy in a productive manner, causing the mandate to become ineffective. According to his teachings, failure to follow them disappoints the people and results in non-objective actions. Consequently, people no longer perceive the brilliance of the ruling dynasty, leading to the establishment of a new one. This particular dynasty was chosen because it had received the mandate. The concept of the monarchy's power being tied to celestial energy is straightforward and consistent. As the energy levels rise, so too does the ruler's authority, much like the inner workings of a Swiss timepiece. This tradition has spanned 3,000 years and may have even originated earlier. Therefore, it is evident that even a fully qualified monarch was compelled to bow down before the Chinese emperor more than to himself, owing to numerous aggressive encounters. This was observed many times, including instances where a foreign ambassador with a lower rank received more recognition than any other monarch outside of China. Consequently, the myth of Chinese dominance in international relations is not unfounded. The truth is that Chinese diplomacy towards its neighbors is not conducive to normative diplomatic standards. As such, the Chinese ambassador was compelled to resort to diplomatic measures with other nations. In ancient times, Rome, Byzantium, Persia, and China engaged in a mutually beneficial exchange of knowledge. Chinese history records that at one point, the nation itself was divided. Consequently, it remains unclear which of the succeeding emperors possessed a divine mandate or heavenly destiny. Everyone fancied themselves as such, emulating the emperor of the VDNH, who constructed one of the priciest fleets, undertook campaigns against lice from the Philippines to East Africa, and endeavored to establish legitimacy with China and the global community as the rightful possessor of heavenly destiny. This mindset extends from ancient epochs to contemporary times. It is worth contemplating how China, once primarily an agrarian society, evolved into the world's preeminent economy and a contender for global domination. Some would say the pertinent question concerns how effective foreign economic policies have been, rather than investment. While investment certainly played a role, it was less significant than in Israel. Western companies sought out China not for the potential for local super profits, but for the promise of progressive working conditions, flexible hours, and exceedingly low wages which facilitate the lowest production costs. As a result, a significant number of European factories located in the US have outsourced to the Chinese economy. However, it is essential to acknowledge that while China's economic rise indeed owes a great debt to key figures such as Deng Xiaoping and the country's intellectual and industrial elites, this is not the sole factor contributing to China's economic growth. Deng Xiaoping was not the president of the National People's Congress, yet he led China and is considered the architect of China's modern form. He pioneered China-specific socialism, which facilitated China's integration into the global market. China has developed the capability to manufacture its own high-quality products, which are no longer solely associated with the low-quality reputation previously attributed to the country. Prominent modern Chinese brands include Huawei, Xiaomi, and Apple. This economic breakthrough is a testament to China's exceptional progress. Write in the comments interesting topics for you. All that's left is to put a like and subscribe, and we will say goodbye. See you again.